So what have you been gamering, sir?
This is gonna be a lot of words. I think I got like 2,500 words in this review. It was like...
I always find it very entertaining when it's a good game, you usually don't need notes, and then when it is a not good game, you take a lot of notes.
Yeah, because I just don't want to be the most basic. It fucking sucked. I hated it.
I just think it's funny.
Resident Evil 6, yet again, developed and published by Capcom for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2012 and PC in 2013, and later re-released. I don't think it was remastered or anything. It was just a straight port.
Yeah, it was a port
to PS4 and Xbox One.
It's like what they did with 5.
Here's something new to include in my reviews. It has a 67 on Metacritic.
That's surprisingly high for Metacritic. Because Metacritic average is 60, and that's unless you're Nintendo, you're not getting in the 80s and 90s.
67.
That's surprisingly high.
The story is split into 4 playable campaigns. On the original release, the game showed you 3 campaigns that you could play until you beat all 3 of them, and then the 4th one would unlock. It was a surprise, I guess. The campaigns are from different perspectives. One is Leon, +1, Chris Redfield, +1, Jake, +1, and then Ada Wong all by herself would unlock. I successfully played through all of Leon's campaign. Painful enough, let me tell you. The story opens with the president going public with info about the initial outbreak in Raccoon City when an aerosolized version of the virus is released, infecting the president and others. Leon saves a Secret Service agent from the zombified Prez by shooting him in the head. She admits she is responsible for the attack, but will only tell Leon once they get to the cathedral. She says this very often, that she'll explain once they get to the cathedral, and I still don't really know why, but she says it so often. It's like 2 whole levels. So almost half the campaign. She's like, yeah, I'll tell you when we get there.
Jeez.
2 levels later, finally in the cathedral, they find a remnant of survivors. After a quote-unquote puzzle, they open a secret path through the cathedral to an underground umbrella lab where they find Leon's +1's sister. I forget her name. The sister has something to do with why the lady killed the president, but... something like the Umbrella Corp was holding her sister captive and told her to go do the thing, and she believed that they were going to release her sister, I think, if I had to guess. Leon finds a weird video of a pus bubble giving birth to a fully grown, fully naked Ada Wong, and he goes, huh? And then they attempt to leave the lab, but the sister becomes a big naked boss battle.
I love big naked boss battles.
After that, they fly to China because reasons.
Well, of course.
I'm legit.
Wong, hello.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, if we were allowed to talk about the racism in the last game, we can talk about the racism in this one too. I will invent a narrative.
I'm legit summarizing the story straight from the fandom and don't even know why they fly to China. They share a boss fight with Chris Redfield, who's in China. He was already there. They bump into Jake and Sherry a couple of times. It's cool that Sherry's included. She was the little girl that Claire and Leon saved in Resident Evil 2.
Whoa!
Now, she's a Fed in the same branch as Leon.
Oh, we hate Feds here.
The lady that Leon talks with all through Resident Evil 4, Hunnigan, is talking at him all through this game too. She's the Fed, contacting Leon every 30 seconds and telling him what his mission is and where to go next, etc., etc. It turns out her boss is the bad guy. So she works with Leon against her boss. The boss is the final boss of the game. He's the bad guy doing the bad things and launching all the nukes and shit. I watched a YouTube video of someone playing through every campaign to see what I was going to miss out on because I was not going to play the rest of the game. And they had a really great point about the whole game. If you take a snapshot at any time, There are really cool ideas or set pieces in the game, but the game is so bombastic all the time. It gets to be absolutely mind-numbing. A zombie nuke goes off, and it barely processed because yet again I was surrounded by too many zombies to kill. It was a running segment of the game instead of a shooting segment. It was like, all right, cool, a nuke went off. Now where am I going? The game heavily mimics Call of Duty. There is blatant plagiarism, like a level in an airplane that's 3 stories tall and your character thinks it's okay to shoot a lot of bullets in a pressurized vessel. There's another level that I didn't get to play where you snowmobile downhill.
I remember.
I think this interest to compete with Call of Duty is why the story is so bombastic and incoherent. The Call of Duty influences eke into the gameplay too, but it was apparent almost immediately why this game was so different from other entries. Like, I didn't have to do research. I pulled up the game and saw the opening couple of minutes. I was like, oh, this is the Call of Duty Resident Evil. I see you. And the more and more and more I looked into it and played and whatever, it was just like, yeah, they just saw Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops just go off and they were like, we want some of that.
Ugh.
Like I said, I watched a playthrough of the other campaigns. Ada is seemingly working for the bad guy in the campaign, but it turns out the video Leon saw was the birth of an evil Ada. I know.
Clones.
Chris is part of the military front in China where the zombie nuke gets dropped.
Chris!
Jake somehow has zombie antibodies he inherited from Wesker. I don't even know how. Don't ask.
Speaking of, where the fuck is Wesker?
I literally just said don't ask. I don't know. I think he dies at the end of Resident Evil 5 if we could actually figure out how to kill him. But I don't know. Jake is a selfish prick and is willing to sell his blood for an ass ton of money, so he goes on an adventure with Sherry. It's really interesting to me playing a story with multiple angles and moods. Each campaign has a different pace to it based on the main character. Leon kind of plays like Resident Evil 4 a little bit. Chris is straight up a generic military shooter. Ada is a stealth crossbow Skyrim build. However, the YouTube video I watched had another great point about this game. It's really fucking boring playing the same story 3 or 4 times through, especially because the common boss fights play exactly the same.
Ugh.
In a good game, there would have been more variety among the different campaigns, and 4 perspectives would have been a really good thing. Moving on to visuals. The visuals are interesting. I want to say they look good. Resident Evil 5 looked pretty cartoony, not just because of the awful filters or color grading, but body proportions were ridiculous. Polygons were pretty low, etc. Resident Evil 6 looks like it comes from an era when the PS3 360 were trying to sell the high-definition Blu-ray hyper-realistic tomfoolery of the 2010s. It does look pretty good, but obviously limited by its hardware and, the time that it was made. There are some cheats that I would love to point out right now, though, like excessive lens flares.
J.J. Abrams, is that you?
Literally. And the whole game is very dark. This makes the lighting look pretty solid for the most part. I swear games still haven't figured out how to make good-looking fire and need to avoid fire as much as possible until you can make it look good.
That is true.
But still, darkness helps to cover up low textures and low geometry that are further away. Whatever, that's how they hid a good portion of the things that they didn't want to work on. It's just a basic cheat, but it looked good. Sound design. It's awful hard to judge sound design when I'm whining about how awful the game is. Nothing really stood out to be painfully bad or masterfully crafted. The dialogue is annoying at best, but that's more of a writing problem. Gameplay. Simply opening the game gives you the vibe of how much fun it's going to be.
Oh boy.
When opening the game, I had to press the X button 10 to 12 times to simply start playing a level.
Oh god.
I counted it. There are so many prompts, like don't close the game when you see this loading symbol, or the splash page to click to open the main menu, Resident Evil 6. After that, there are co-op settings. There's canceling matchmaking that starts automatically so that I can play by myself, because I hope to the horror gods that no one else in the world is playing this game. This game is co-op dependent, except for Ada. A lot of the level design is made for co-op. That's why the campaigns were main character that you want to play as +1. Simple things like in Resident Evil 5, where there are some doors I could open by myself and other doors that I would need my partner to be there to help me open a door. More egregious examples were 2 branching paths where I would hit a roadblock and have to sit there and wait for my partner to pull the lever that's right in front of you. Oh my gosh! Just pull the fucking lever so I can play the game! The co-op doors were a 50-50 chance of leading right into a cinematic. This game relies heavily on cinematics and interactable cinematics.
Ew.
Or QuickTime events.
Ew! Get it away! I hated the early 2010s.
I will admit, I would get really annoyed because I would enter a cinematic and think it was safe to take a sip of my drink that helped me cope with playing this game, or check my phone for a text and miss a QuickTime event because most of the cinematics were in-engine. I would have enjoyed this game more if it was more movie than quote-unquote gameplay. Ugh. Another new modern gaming feature is a waypoint marker. It shows up the very first time you're allowed to actually play the game. It does the little swivel away from the cinematic to your character and boom, waypoint. Even in the parts of the level that have quote-unquote puzzles, the waypoint tells you where to go and what to do. The quote-unquote puzzles really aren't puzzling at all. The most challenging one was a big room that I had to walk around. I found 2 statues and I had to place them on the pedestals. Not even a certain statue to a certain pedestal. Just place them at the same time with my AI partner. Hang on. Anytime there was a hint of a classic Resident Evil puzzle, the answer was handed to me before I could even see the challenge. There was a bell ringing challenge. Shoot 5 bells to light the secret whatever, but right before I saw the bells, some asshole in world engraved the wall with the answer to the secret. Shoot the 5 bells to light the whatever. With uninspired level design and a waypoint marker holding your hand non-stop, this game is literally just connect the dots. Walk to the waypoint, watch the video. Do the QuickTime event, maybe, shoot the zombies. Repeat. That's this whole game. Speaking of shooting zombies, how is the gunplay?
Bad?
I saw online people complaining about a lack of ammo, even in super easy baby story mode, which is how I played. I had the opposite problem. I didn't have enough space for all of my ammo and was throwing out health items to stock up on more ammo because I knew that eventually I would find a final boss. If I had struggled to keep ammo, I would have hated this game even more. It was a little fun mowing through so many zombies, kind of like a Dead Rising or Left 4 Dead, but again, it made the game mind-numbing. What did you decide, PT or box food?
I'd already pressed the button.
Oh, okay. Each character controls differently, as previously mentioned. Leon has his trusty Resident Evil 4 pistol, which he definitely named his pistol, but he's not gay, guys, honest. And he can dual wield pistols if you want to shoot a lot of bullets and not hit anything.
I don't know, man. Platinum blonde on a dude's pretty gay. Same thing goes for Wesker.
I think they're blonde tips, but whatever.
Blonde tips are also kind of gay.
True.
Thunder.
That or a runaway dump truck in my driveway. Chris has a powerful assault rifle that makes his campaign feels like generic military shooter. Ada has her crossbow. Each character also has a different HUD with different colors and a slightly different look to the inventory. Cool enough if it was in a good game. A note I just threw in because I remembered I didn't write it down. There's a stamina bar in this game. So there's words and stuff. There's a dedicated button for a melee attack. It's the right trigger if you're not aiming, and you can do super cool kung fu kicks and shit to melee attack an enemy. And there's a stamina bar that wears down for each time you pull the trigger to do the melee attack. I kind of liked it because it wasn't complicated controls like in Resident Evil 4 and 5 where you have to hold the left button or the left bumper and pull the right trigger to pull out your knife and just do a basic slashing attack. It was varied, and it was kicks and stuff, and it changes among the different characters that you're playing as. Ada Wong does the sexy puts her lap in your face Black Widow move and pulls your head down to the ground. Like, yeah, there's no stigma in this game at all. I like that this game gave an attempt at a new inventory menu, but it sucks, and I'm glad they never went back to it. Congratulations, you tried. Every single Resident Evil game has a grid in a box that you manage your inventory in. This game has a horizontal grid that everything stacks up in, leaving you to repeatedly flick left or right to do simple things like change weapons. It is very difficult to manage inventory because empty slots could be fairly far away on this imaginary scrolling wheel. I just hit a point where my inventory was full and I would have to start scrolling to see what I could throw away to pick up the new thing that I actually wanted. The game doesn't pause. That was something I wanted to talk about. There's no fucking pause button because it was made for co-op. That was designed to be online with your friends, not couch co-op. So you can't pause the game to go pee-pee. Another new modern gaming change that was added was the health system. Any good Resident Evil game has 3 different color herbs: green for health, red to multiply with, basically mix red, and green for a max health, and yellow to increase max health level. This game has red and green. All herbs get added to a little pill box the main character has with a limited pill count, so that the player just taps the right bumper button, and I lost my spot, and chugs down a pill to heal. 1 green, I think, was 1 pill, 2 greens mixed together to make 3 pills, and a red and a green was 6 pills, or something like that. You could craft the pills, and then you would have to add them to the pill box that was part of the HUD. When I was playing on stream, I kept referring to the health items as Tic Tacs because it looked like Leon was chugging Tic Tacs from the little box that the Tic Tacs come in. I was really happy when doing research for this review to find that other people called it Tic Tacs too. It was really funny. But you can't... Menuing was difficult because you not only have to craft your Tic Tacs, you have to put them into the pill box and then chug the Tic Tacs.
You getting worked up is some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my life.
I also think this health system is really stinky. Another new modern gaming change is skill points.
Oh, God.
XP can be picked up as a drop reward from dead enemies, boxes and pots you can break, and sometimes a large amount of XP was a reward at the end of an encounter or boss fight. Hold this thought. Each character has 5 levels. Multiply that by 4 campaigns, you have 20 levels to play through when you buy the game. Each level I played through on super easy baby story mode took me about an hour, maybe an hour 15. The only way to use XP is at the end of an hour plus long level. It gets better. XP can be spent to buy basic skills, improved aiming, increased damage for guns or melee. We've all seen this before. You can unlock skills to drop more of a specific ammo, or the ability to have unlimited... Oh my gosh! You can unlock skills to drop more of a specific ammo, or the ability to have unlimited storage space of a certain ammo. You can buff your AI partner if you're playing alone. Here's the kicker. You can only equip 3 skills. Ever. The skills were super expensive too. I usually only bought 1, if any at all, at the end of a level.
That's very dumb.
In closing, this game is stinky. I'm glad the series rebounded from this. This game wasn't a cash grab like Resident Evil 3 Remake. There was care put into this. It just needed better directing.
Not dumb people.
A lot of the story feels like a brainstorm meeting. Well, what if Leon was a plane above a fully infected city and the plane crashes into a tower kind of like 9/11 and he has to escape the city? Well, what if Leon has a boss fight while riding a minecart? Or maybe while he's riding on top of a train? Yes, do all that and get back to me. Apparently in Resident Evil 5 and 6, and maybe more, I don't know, I've completely missed a Mercenaries mode. It's a wave-based mode with lots of unlocks, and I saw online that it's the best part of this game. Oopsie, I uninstalled this game too quickly. It's only uphill from here. Resident Evil 7 is next.
Thank God. It's been a couple of months of pain.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
I cannot express enough that this game was literally just connect the dots. Speed run through the level, watch the video, do the QuickTime event. Like, that was what this game felt like. I barely even remember shooting. There was shooting. There was changing guns for, like, basic ass shooting strategy. Like, oh, I need the sniper rifle. Ooh, I need the shotgun. But it was just, this should have been a movie. That's what this game should have been. This should have been one of those shitty, poorly animated Netflix movies.
Oof.